council meeting to order, November 16th. Please join me in allegiance to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody in the chamber today. And I see we've got a couple of new faces that are getting ready to replace us old boys that's been around for years here, and I want to welcome both of you, Rob and Mark. Could we have a roll call, Christie?
Yeah.
Yep.
Donlin?
Yes.
Child?
Yes.
Wick?
Yes.
Schiffer?
Yes. Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'd like to welcome also the people that are watching over television on our council program here. And I see Ben's here from the Mars Sentinel, and so we move on. Got a hearing today. The first hearing is a request to vacate the right-of-way. At our November 2nd, 2021 meeting, council set this as the date and time to public comment regarding a proposal to vacate approximately 186 square feet of city-owned right-of-way immediately adjacent to 12 Central Avenue Southeast. Attached is the aerial of the our aerial view of the area, and the request is being made by Central Crossroads LLC to install a fence and create a courtyard for their inn on Central guests. The property is of no useful purpose to the city, nor is it required to be held by the city by any code. Legal description is part of the old Illinois Central Railroad. Right-of-way line East Block 14, the original town plat of the city of Lamar's, Iowa, also Part 2, and said Block 14 containing 186 square feet more, particularly described as follows: commencing the northeast corner of said Block 14, thus 63.0 feet, thus west 38 feet, thus north 14 feet, to point being where there's 16 feet. The north line of the said block, 14, is assumed to bear east-west. The recommendation is that I'm going to open this hearing at this time and ask if there's anyone opposed or for it or against it at this time. I'm going to ask once again if there's any oral objections or comments to the hearing. Hearing none, I'm going to close the session at this time. The administration recommends the right-of-way to be vacated and be turned over to the Central Crossroads LLC, and the Central Crossroads LLC pay all costs incurred with the vacation, surveying, and recording of the right-of-way. Any questions from the council or anybody?
Two-part question, Jason. Does this in any way, shape, or form affect any adjacent property owners?
No, there's still access to all those buildings.
Okay, so it doesn't adversely, because I haven't gotten one single comment on them, so that's okay.
Did I ask your question?
That does. I'm good.
I entertain a motion.
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 21-61, vacating right-of-way adjacent to 12 Central Avenue Southeast and conveyed to the adjoining property owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adopt resolution number 21-61, vacating right-of-way agent to the 12 Central Avenue Southeast and conveyed to the adjoining property owner. Christie, could we have a roll call on that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Child?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Wick?
Yes.
Schiffer?
Yes.
Motion carried. Okay, moving on to the Thumbs Up Award. Mike?
Pass this time.
Clark?
Pass.
Rex?
Yeah, the parking lot at the Cleveland, since I've been making the fence on it, I want to explain that it really looks nice. It really looks nice. It's gonna get, what, a dozen to 15 cars in there, the way I looked at it.
I think there's 12.
Yeah, and I think that's a good addition to that area, and I'm happy it's where it is today.
Along that line, I think, and Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I heard, at 4 o'clock today, there's a ribbon cutting ceremony?
I'll get to that at 4 o'clock tomorrow.
Oh, is that tomorrow?
Yep.
Okay, you got too many of them.
For the story walk at the parking lot.
Huh?
For the story walk.
The story walk, yeah.
Which is at the end with the signs and stuff like that around.
Yeah, and that's at 4 o'clock, I think, tomorrow afternoon.
Yep.
Yeah, no reason to have it when it's warm today.
No.
No.
Have it tomorrow when it's cold.
Wait till it rains. Steve?
Thumbs up for our new welcoming sign across our main street. Thumbs up to all our businesses downtown on that block that had to take part in closing the street while we did it. But it's a neat addition. It's been a great talking point for many, many people. So thumbs up for the sign.
Wayne?
Yeah, it's probably more personal. Thumbs up to my grandson and Devin and his wife Bailey and my son Dave. We now have a little Henry, the fire hose, was born here a few days ago. And it probably don't mean a lot to you guys, but it means quite a bit to this old guy. After all these girls, we finally got another generation, hopefully that will be productive and do some things that are needed for communities.
Might want to choose your words carefully.
You gonna help train him to be a fireman?
Well, I'm kind of pro-fire, so I guess, yeah. But anyway, thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, good enough. Moving on to the consent items. All items listed under the consent agenda will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion on those items unless a request is made prior to the time the council votes on the motion. Today we have 8 of them. Approval of the November 2nd, 2021 regular meeting minutes. Number 2 is a list of the bills for period ending 11/12/21. Number 3 is a monthly financial statement for October of 2021. Number 4 is the election canvass. Number 5 is the interfund transfer resolution. Number 6 is the Powder Players Snowmobile Club request. 7 is the property casualty insurance. And I believe Matt Susanmall and Rob Bixman are here representing that program. If anybody has any questions. And number 8 is the TIF indebtedness certification, annual urban renewal report, AFR. Any questions on any of these that
Maybe
you
we should have Matt.
Yeah, they may have Matt come and not be up there.
You don't get it when he's, get to sit back here and,
You notice,
Come, you gotta come to the podium.
you notice I mentioned Matt's name first there, Rob, didn't you?
Yeah, I know it. We were talking briefly before this, and Matt said, "Holy cow, I'm on the agenda to be the presenter. I'm not ready for that."
better get ready.
So this is my last hurrah as the insurance agent for the city of Lamar's, and it's been a good run. I appreciate the business throughout the years, and I've been the city's insurance agent, I think, since around 2002, 2004, somewhere in that range. So it's been a pleasure, and we certainly appreciate the support over the years. So this is my last renewal. I am passing the baton to Matt Susanmall, very capable agent here with Perspective Insurance. Matt insures or handles a lot of accounts with ICAP as well, and that's who has the city's coverage. It's about a dozen, maybe different entities that he serves with ICAP. And that's really important because ICAP is a different entity. It's different than standard insurance. So the Iowa Community Assurance Pool, while we refer to it as insurance, it's not insurance, it's assurance, okay? And it's risk pooling. So the city of Lamar's is pooling its risk with approximately 975, there might be over 1,000 now, different entities in the state of Iowa. This program was developed by the Iowa League of Cities and the Iowa State Association of Counties. So those that are in the pool can only be nonprofit governmental entities. So locally here we have Plymouth County, the E911 board, the landfill, Plymouth County landfill are all on the ICAP program. What's it? Oh, the fairgrounds, yeah, Plymouth County Fair. And this program developed out of a hard insurance market, which coincidentally is exactly where we're headed in the insurance industry right now. Insurance is cyclical, so rates go up and down, and coverage grows and shrinks. And right now we're going into a hard market where insurance costs are skyrocketing, profits for insurance companies are dwindling, and not that anybody needs to feel sorry for insurance companies, but it's just the nature of the beast. So insurance companies take your premium dollars and they invest them in very conservative investments, bonds, and that type of investment, and there's just no interest in that market. So they need to make their money underwriting. So they have to pay less in claims than they bring in for premium. And this last year in the state of Iowa, the derecho made that impossible for insurance companies. And that includes this ICAP program. While we ducked, thankfully, almost the entire effects of the derecho, most of the rest of the state took a direct hit. So I read that the total damages by the derecho last August, not this last August, but 2020, were $11 billion, $7 billion in the state of Iowa. So it was massive. And public entities like the city of Lamar's and other entities struggle when buying property insurance because you have high valued property, very unique buildings, and it's all concentrated in one community. So if you think of how devastating, I don't have any wood here, a hailstorm would be to the various buildings that the city owns, that's what ICAP has to cover. So anyhow, we've done what we can to mitigate the increase. I spoke with Jacob, I think it was back in January, or maybe traded some emails warning him of an increase. And here it is, I guess. So if you go down to the first page, we have the casualty insurance renewal comparison. We carry a $5 million limit on our general liability, auto liability, wrongful acts, officials liability, and law enforcement liability. So not much change in the liability arena. As things, claims were pretty well contained there. Auto physical damage went up just a tick, but so did our values of our vehicles. The ICAP agency commission, I cut in half this year in order to mitigate some of the increase here. So much like what you did to me with the mayor's salary, I'm doing to Matt. I had to put that out there.
You can't believe how hard I get to try.
And it's no indication on Matt's capabilities, I'll tell you that. So anyway. The ICAP member credit is where we lost ground. So every year ICAP, since you guys have been a member, ICAP has given a credit back to its members because it is a non-for-profit organization that is here to benefit communities. They return excess premium that they feel they can give back. This is the first year we haven't got a single penny. So, and they announced at our last meeting that there will not be any return credit next year. So, so we lost a little over $9,000 just in the return premium credit. So I apply half of it to the property, or to the casualty side, and half of it to the property. So
You explained that, Rob, that was because, I think, because you mentioned that, their excess, their reserves
yeah, they
were stripped because of...
Yeah, so the credit comes from reserves that they keep on hand to pay claims. So the community assurance pool goes out and buys reinsurance, and they also keep a pool of money set aside to cover anything that they didn't reinsure. Okay. Once that pool of money gets down to, or gets up to a level that they feel comfortable, anything above that, they return back to the members. And this derecho completely wiped out that reserve. So they are not comfortable with the level of reserves that they have currently, and therefore aren't going to give back anything to the members for this year and next year. So,
Rob, is that going to cut their grants that they give out too sometimes?
no, I haven't heard any cuts in that. So that $1,000 grant that they give.
We have taken advantage of that several
Yep.
times.
That'll still continue in 2022.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know, Rob, over the past number of years, the city here has gotten a pretty good renewal coming back every year
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
this program.
Yep.
That's what I
Exactly.
always liked about this.
Yeah. Yeah. It has been extremely beneficial, and really throughout time, as long as the city has been with ICAP, it's really been very steady renewals and very predictable, and that's the beauty of it. This year, not, but we tried to make Jacob aware of it sooner so that we could budget accordingly, but yeah, it is what it is, I guess. So. Second page, any questions on the liability? So we came out within $700 of where we were last year on the liability side.
Rob, as it pertains to the liability limits, do you believe that they're adequate, and are they consistent with other cities our size?
Yes, we've done a study on the limits. ICAP will give us that information as to what cities our size have. We're right in the middle. So, and the more you have, the more you get sued for it. You might know. So, the property side is where we took the biggest hit. So ICAP honestly was fairly generous with our property values. They increased our property values only 3% for inflation. Okay. If any of you have been involved with building or are involved with building, the cost of construction escalated immensely this last year. So it's actually quite generous of ICAP to only apply a 3% inflation to the value of our buildings. The rest of the limits remain, pretty much the same. Again, the ICAP member credit went away, and the total property premium is up by $34,000. So, combined, we're at just under $35,000 increase, or 16.24%.
So the big ticket source of the increase is looking back on the derecho and its losses?
Yeah, it is the derecho, but it's also kind of the perfect storm for a hard market, in that insurance companies, insurance carriers can't make money on their investments, and the claims are escalating. So, not only the derecho, but there have been an extreme uptick in law enforcement liability claims in the state of Iowa, actually nationwide, but in the state of Iowa, as well as employment liability, which we've experienced here.
So is it your sense that how many other members of this pool that we're in, was everybody's increase about proportional, this 16%?
Yes, yep.
So we're not taking any more or less of a hit,
Right.
even though we didn't get affected by duration?
They advised everyone, and this is when I called Jacob, to expect a 15 to 20% increase. Advised all pool members.
So will they still have these 700 people all renewing? Or are they, I guess if you shop it somewhere else, it ain't gonna be any cheaper, is what you're telling me.
Right, exactly.
Just because of the same rules apply to the general insurance market versus the reinsurance pool market, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you currently are telling me you don't have a pleasant job on a daily basis, is that a fair way of saying it?
Right. This job is fun at times, this is not one of them, so, yeah.
The only other question I have is more of a practical question for city staff. When we get a new fire truck, or we put a sign on downtown, big ticket item, do you want the city staff to reach out to you immediately to list that property, or is it covered until the next renewal?
Both.
Okay.
The beauty of the Iowa Community Assurance Pool, it's written by its members, the policy's written by its members. There's like 6 exclusions on a policy, whereas an average commercial insurance policy has 150 some exclusions. The Iowa Community Assurance Pool policy has a provision in it that says, if you bend to cover it, it's covered. Even if you forgot. But yes, I do want people to contact me to add those items. So, and the nice thing about ICAP, if it's anything less than, I think it's $250,000 in value, they don't even charge an additional premium for it.